Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments to enable parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Sunday, and we actually just dropped a thought piece this past Sunday, so be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you are looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available on 12 different podcast platforms for your listening leisure, and we've provided you with access to the links in the description down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time you post. And of course, if you like our conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Allô les meufs et les mecs. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today our topic of discussion is education. And on the topic of education, we're going to be covering the education that starts at home. And of course, we're going to be talking about managing conflict. This is an interesting conversation because my personal growth journey has really evolved in different ways and methods around conflict, and I can say from personal experience what works well for what given situation or context. I want to give that to you. I also want to provide you recommendations and readings that will support with managing conflicts in a constructive way, and the baseline emphasis here is constructive. I am not someone who advocates or will ever advocate for entering a battle or a conflict or a conversation that amounts to nothing. But if it's going to get you somewhere, if it is a battle worth winning, then I'm here to give you some guidelines, some tenets, not only of just figuring out, is this a battle worth sort of embarking in, but how you navigate yourself so that you honor yourself in the way that you show up in that conflict. So let's start. So again, as I've mentioned before, right now, if you were to see the way that I navigate in the world around me, I'm fairly averse to conflict. I don't like to engage, but that's not because I don't know how, and it's not because I feel afraid of engaging. It's because I've recognized through my life that not every battle is worth fighting. There are certain battles, though they might be enticing, they might be alluring, it could be really, really tempting, they're just absolutely not worth my time. So I won't engage. But there are other battles that are, and I think that there are different ways that I would approach it, right? So a crucial conversation or a confrontation, one of the first tenets that I sort of walk myself through if I do feel or get a sense that a conflict is on the horizon, is the relationship itself. So if this is a relationship that I need, if it's a functional relationship where I'm concerned about the health of the relationship, if it's an unhealthy relationship, it's gonna have an adverse effect on me, then I'm more incentivized to have that conversation and to bring certain things to light. Now, if this is not a relationship that is going to have any impact to my life beyond a given situation where I was triggered or I felt that something was inappropriate and it was rude, I'm just gonna let it slide. multiplied, because at the end of the day, this person's impact on my overall life is as much as I grant it to be. And if this is like a one-off situation, I don't foresee myself interacting with this person in the future. In the one ear, out the other. I might be irritated or upset or feel affronted by what they said, but honestly, I've just learned that my energy is best served elsewhere, and I'm waiting for the moment where they can become a distant and foggy memory, and I will not engage in conflict. And I find that like in life, you could go into the grocery store, you could be, driving down the road, and you just meet antagonistic people, like people who are just looking to get into conflict with anyone, and you just happen to be the person in front of them. So they're just looking to pick a fight with you. And if I see that you're just that kind of human, like you have that energy where you're just looking to combat with someone, you're just like this combative human being, I'm really just not engaged. I'm not interested. I have absolutely no inner motivation to talk to you or talk to that kind of human being, because it's just a void. I think it's like an empty trap. It's like a vacuum. You're just trying to suck in energy to make yourself feel better. You're trying to find a way to validate your angry feelings, and you're just not doing it in a constructive way. And so for me, I'm not going to enable you by engaging. I'm also not going to personalize or internalize any of the riffraff that you're putting out there in the ether. I'm just going to create distance and, of course, keep you as a distant, faded, foggy memory. Trust and believe I'm not thinking about you when I go home. So that's the one style. Just completely ignore and disregard. And I do that a lot of the time. So there's a lot of situations where it's like I feel myself like triggered, or I feel myself like, hey, like that's not okay. I really don't like that comment, or I don't like that tone. And I just let it slide off my shoulders, and no one will be the wiser. And it's okay, because at the end of the day, like I really don't see this relationship having an impact on me, and they can be woefully ignorant in the way that they communicate and navigate in the world around them. I don't feel inclined to educate or to interject myself in their life experience and in their way of doing and knowing. A second tier is like, now this relationship, while it might not be a very close relationship, it's a relationship that like does have an impact on me. So for those relationships, I typically will incorporate CPR, and CPR is a strategy. It is a framework that you can learn about in crucial conversations. And it's really about a 3-strike rule, but also a way of conversing so that you're really vocalizing on the areas of concern and not just creating resentment and friction between two personalities. So if this is a relationship where like we do have to engage, like I would prefer that it's constructive and that the relationship is healthy. I can't just ignore it and it will go away. Then I will incorporate CPR. So CPR, like the first time something comes up and it's problematic, I'll just focus on the content. I'll be like, hey, this was said, this was done, and this is what I think would be the appropriate resolution moving forward, and just nip it in the bud super quick. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be anything, it doesn't need to be like an ordeal, but it will be a conversation that I bring up. I'll just talk about the content. I'm hoping to get an agreement and consensus on how we move forward. And then I'm looking to move forward. I let it go. Now, if it comes up again, then I talk about it being a pattern. So I will keep record, a timestamp of the first situation where I brought it up in conversation. And I'm very good at this. If I find that I'm ever like, okay, I need to leverage CPR, I always make sure that the first time that I talk about something, I document that somewhere. It's like I talked about the content here, because the second time, if I am obliged to talk about the same topic with the same person, it's going to now be about the pattern of behavior. I'm going to bring up all of the instances, or the instance in where I had to have that initial conversation, and now it's happening like a second time, and it's becoming a pattern. And if it's a pattern, it's much more problematic than it being a one-off situation. And I'm going to be very clear about that so that they understand, like, let's make an action plan, and like let's really hold ourselves accountable to our role in the action plan that we created together. Now, if it does come up again, and we're all human, to err is human, but the third time now it's going to be about the relationship. It's like I've brought this up a couple of times. At this point, I feel like, I think if it's the third time that I'm bringing up, I can now start to assume that there's some degree of intentionality. Like, is this spite? Like, what are the underlying factors as to this continuously being a problem that like pops up in the way that we interact and engage with one another? And I'm looking for accountability at this point. That at this point, like, I will be vocal, like this is going to have, or it's now having an impact on the relationship. And for some people, like, they care. Like, for the most part, I would hope that they care if their like behavior is having a negative impact on the relationship that they have with you. And other people, they don't. But at least at this stage in the game, if you're documenting, you now have the 3 instances documented as to when you have this conversation. If you need to escalate, you escalate it. But in none of those situations am I personalizing it. I'm not internalizing the conflict. I'm not going to allow myself to become, completely emotionally turned because of this situation, this person's behavior. I like to think about people's behavior as more of a reflection of what they're going through as opposed to it being about what I am going through. And I prefer not to take it home. It doesn't mean that I won't have an occasion where I'm venting or I feel like a little bit frustrated, but I'm not gonna let it root in my spirit. It's not gonna root in me. The things that are said, the things that are done are not going to have like an adverse impact on like my sense of self. And that's also something that I learned over time. I used to really take people's behavior very personally. And I've learned that it's very rarely about me. It's very, for the most part, it is about them and what it is that they're going through or their journey or what it is that, they feel triggered by my own behavior. And I think that kind of self-reflection helps me have conflict in a constructive way. And I also recognize when conflict just isn't constructive. And if someone is looking to blow off steam in like a really destructive way by getting into conflict with you, just get out of the way. And I think sometimes if someone's being really destructive and really antagonizing you, you feel inclined to respond, you want to defend yourself, but like there's nothing to defend, right? You're just a person of many people that they would have picked as a target to like blow off steam. And I think those kinds of conflicts with people who are just looking to justify themselves or to regain power, there's no winning in those kinds of situations. So better to just not engage whatsoever and to just extract yourself from those situations as soon as possible. So 2023, let's make this a year of protecting our peace, staying away from conflict as much as absolutely possible. But if it is the case that we have to enter into conflict, get into that conflict as constructively, as objectively, and as professionally as possible. And I don't think professionally just happens like in work settings. Like I prefer to handle things professionally even in my personal life so it doesn't create unnecessary drama. And I am someone who mitigates drama. Even when I have to get into a conflict, I don't necessarily see conflict and drama as intertwined. And for the people who do, I typically will maintain a healthy amount of distance because I really just am about protecting my peace. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Hopefully that was food for thought that you can build into your repertoire, your communication toolkit the next time that you see and recognize that a conflict is on the horizon. And of course, if there's a different scenario or a situation that you have top of mind and you're trying to get a sense as to how to navigate, by all means, send me a comment, send me an email, and I would be happy to walk you through or to kind of problem solve and dissect that situation with you. Now, before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month for the foreseeable future on our Facebook page. So definitely be sure to tune in. Now, these events are paid events. So if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Yes, so we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as access to webinars and workshops, largely focused on self-mastery over and above those events. So definitely join in, be part of our hashtag Game Changer community, and be part of the change that you want to see, allowing us a small role to play in your journey. Now we are on the road to 1K, so we invite you to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms, and we look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you later.